Welcome to Friendship Simulator, a podcast where two Twitter friends recommend media in the hopes the other will like it. This week, we test our show's conceit with Galavant, the short-lived ABC musical sitcom about swords and sorcery. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Leyla.
And Leyla, this week, was more of an experimental week, I would say. I think the first couple episodes of our show we have been pretty much like, extremely on brand, like, slam dunk out of the park. Like, hey, I know you from everything you talk about on the internet. You're definitely gonna like this. This one is a little bit more out there. Galavant, I'll go ahead and summarize it real quick. Follows it's on Netflix. It was a 2-season, 18 total episodes. Like basically like a sitcom. It follows the story of Galavant, who's just like this best knight in the realm. His whole quest is based around the fact that his lady love named Magdalena, he was gonna go rescue her from the King Richard, but then she turns out she's like, oh, I actually like being the queen because it gives me a lot of power. And then Galavant slumps into depression, and his whole quest is getting out of that slump and trying to quest for Magdalena. He meets up with another princess, Isabella of Valencia, and Isabella is secretly working for King Richard to help kill Galavant, but Isabella, over time, as they're traveling back to go rescue Magdalena, she falls in love with Galavant, and Galavant also brings his squire Sid along, and they have wacky adventures. And that's how season 1 ends. Like they have this big confrontation, and things just get switched around, and what happens is that Magdalena ends up, I guess, in a co-rulership relationship with King Richard's right-hand man, whose name is Gareth, I believe. Yeah. And they start taking over the kingdom, and Richard and Galavant try to go raise an army because also Isabella somehow got captured by her 11-year-old cousin in order to arrange some sort of marriage. It doesn't make any sense. The whole show is wildly inconsistent. The characters don't act normally generally. The plot's just completely bonkers. I mean, it makes sense for something that's based around musicals, but it is a wild show, and I mean, you sort of get the tone once you watch the first couple episodes, but all throughout this, I was like, Leyla, I don't know about this one, y'all. And thankfully, you told me at the end of season 1, I was like, Leyla, this is rough. You were like, it gets better at season 2, and it does get significantly better at season 2, but it is still a very, I mean, it is an acquired taste, I'll say that. So Leyla, why'd you do me like this?
Okay, because you like musicals, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, okay, we got really angry at Andrew Lloyd Webber because his musical wasn't fun bad, it was just kind of aggressively bad. This is fun bad.
Yes, that's true.
It's just, I thought, what a delightful test of, not maybe patience, what a delightful little taste test this will be. It's just me trying to figure out what your tolerance is for just the most self-indulgent, just bullshit media. And did you have fun?
I'm glad I did it. Would I watch it again? Probably not. There are a couple episodes I would watch again. I mean, we talked about this in Twitter, but the star of the show, Runaway Star, is the person who plays Magdalena. She has a great character. I'm, as we've established before, a sucker for evil, powerful, hot women. And her character is just like, I hate everyone and I don't have feelings, and I will stop at nothing to acquire power. And that watching her quest was very interesting. I also liked there's the King's chef and the King's chef's girlfriend, whose name is, I think, Gwendolyn. I liked them for what little parts they played in the show, because there's at one point where Gwendolyn tries to mass murder / poison all of the nobles, and I was really excited for oh man, are they gonna completely change the social order? And then at the end, her shitty boyfriend was like, no, I couldn't kill them, I just gave them diarrhea. And I was like, all right, dude. So the The dialogue's a little clunky. The comedy is bad. There are some pretty bad race jokes in there that I don't know why they just threw in. But that bummed me out. I mean, there are some legitimately fun songs in there, and it is kind of funny just to watch. Like, what would happen? It's sort of like the Hideo Kojima when he made that wild game last year, Death Stranding. It's sort of like the equivalent, the musical equivalent with watching Alan Menken. Just like, hey, what if we just let Alan Menken off the hook? Just like, what can this bad boy do? And this is what it was.
Yeah, so I was when did this first air? Was it 2014?
2015, I believe, is the first
Okay,
season.
so way too late for the kind of jokes that were in there. Yeah, there's some uncomfortable humor, but it's passing enough where when I watched and again, that I think we talked about this with Kill la Kill, it summons this reaction of like, okay. Like
Yeah.
that's how I react to it. I'm just like, oh, we didn't need this. Like that was it's it's one of those things that like it's just, we could have been better. I think a very important question is, what are your favorite songs from this nightmare?
I the songs are very interesting, right? You mentioned that a lot of them are like either parodies or like trying to compare themselves to actual musical songs. Like there's this one where Sid is like going to storm the castle, and it's like very obviously a play on Les Mis. Like they even at one point give him a big fucking red flag. Except like the whole time he is singing about how like they're all going to be maimed and murdered and have PTSD, which is a weird conceit for a song. But there is also a line in that song in Les Mis where it's like, the blood of the martyrs will water the meadows of France, and it's kind of the same theme generally, which I appreciated it. So that song is pretty good. You mentioned Off With His Shirt, which is a genuine bop, despite its, I assume, pretty problematic origins. Right, there is something to be said about a straight man being forced to be a shirtless bartender at a gay bar. Like that's probably not great. I don't know. They could have framed that better, but it's still a very good song.
Yeah, Queen Kylie Minogue really came out of the woodwork for that one.
Kylie Minogue. I watched that her like super famous song. I watched that music video, and it was so strange. And man, 2005 was like just when I was learning like what media was basically. I was able to like make my own choices, and like that was a weird time, huh?
Yeah. There were some looks in that video.
Yeah.
In Kylie Minogue's seminal U.S. bound bop, "Can't Get You Out of My Mind."
Yeah, good. Yeah, if you want to look up that video, it's on Vivo.
Honestly, if it came on my Discover Weekly today, I would not be mad about it. It's a bop.
It's all right. It's fine.
It's bop-like.
It's fine. Let me think. There's one song about Magdalena. There's this scene where like she's getting like bullied by these other princesses, and she talks about like how she's having feelings for the first time, and like, it was like a kind of a sad song, and I kind of liked that. I liked where they showed how Magdalena does have more characterizations beyond just like being an angry evil queen. I did appreciate that.
I mean, it's funny that you bring up that song. It's called "What Am I Feeling?" I'm looking at the soundtrack right now, so if you need a title, I'm here. But "What Am I Feeling" is funny because it's directly followed by, there's this whole thing about her, like, there's this focus on earrings in the scene, where, like, she always wanted to have earrings like these bitchy little teen queens, and now that they're all adults, they, like, made fun of her earrings, and she was, like, fussing over them. And Gareth, and they're like forming a little romance at this point, Gareth brings her their ears with the earrings still attached as a gift. And it made me wish that this is what the show was the entire time, because it was both the funniest thing they ever did and like this touching little character moment, but the rest of the show just doesn't match that tone at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like I was that point, I was like, oh, this show actually does get how character works. Like, I mean, this is Alan Menken, like the giant who wrote. I mean, he did everything from like Hunchback to Little Shop. Like, dude's a legend. So it's not like he doesn't know how to write songs. Certainly, I don't think he probably did the story though, right? Like,
I'm looking. He's a composer.
Yeah.
His film musicals include. I'm reading this off mtishows.com, which is just the first Google result. His film musicals include Little Shop of Horrors, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Newsies, Aladdin, 1992 and 2019, Pocahontas, Hunchback, Hercules, Home on the Range, Enchanted, and Tangled. Ooh, Tangled slapped though. And then he also soundtracked a bunch of other movies, including Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh my god, really?
All right, Alan Menken. Oh, here we go. Alan won the 2012 Tony and Drama Desk Awards for his score to Newsies, which Newsies is not a good musical, so I don't know why.
Ooh.
4 of the Best Song for Under the Sea, Beauty and the Beast, A Whole New World, Colors of the Wind. 11 Grammys, including Song of the Year for A Whole New World. 7 Golden Globes, London's Evening Standard Award, the Olivier Award, Outer Critics Circle Award, and the Drama Desk Award. So like a lauded. Oh, there's a condensed bio right at the bottom. Could have read that. Oh, and 8 Oscars. Let's not forget his 8 Oscars. So this is like a lauded, famous, like Disney staple composer.
I mean, he's on the level of like a Sondheim or an ALW. Like,
yes,
he's a giant.
He's a little bit more commercial than Sondheim, and Sondheim's very commercial. He's a little bit more commercial than ALW, and Sondheim's more stage, and Menken does more film. But they are all on the level.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think that I agree with you. Off with the Shirt is I'm not a gay man, so I don't know. But, like, it did feel icky, but it is on bop, and it is on my workout playlist. And, personally, I really love, okay, we'll circle back to this. There are so many cameos. Al Yankovic's Hey Hey We're the Monks slaps. It's fun. It's a fun song. And so is, again, not sure how Jewish people feel about it, but Oi, What a Night is catchy. And, oh my god, where is it? Today We Rise is the Sid song. It's good. Dwarves versus Giants is my favorite song.
That one was good because they did the fucking West Side Story bullshit.
Yep. So Dwarves versus Giants is an episode where Galavant and Richard, who is no longer an evil king and is just like a buddy to Galavant because he's just dumb now apparently. Galavant and Richard go on this quest to rescue Isabella and get Richard's army and go fight a war or whatever. And they get in a fight about something, like I think Richard being incompetent or something.
Well, it's his dragon, because he gets like a bearded dragon and Galavant doesn't believe it's a real dragon.
Yes, he gets a dragon, a bearded dragon, and he names him Tad Cooper, and he says, I super believe in you, Tad Cooper, and I say it literally all the time to people. But yeah, he gets a dragon called Tad Cooper and trades away this like big jewel for it, which was their key to getting an army, so they get in a fight. And they both split up to find the dwarves and the giants, and they find them and each side with the different people, but the thing is that they're all 5'10" sized average men.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we're really short giants or we're really tall dwarves, and they got in a fight over a bridge, and Roberta, Bobby, who is in love with Richard and is their new traveling companion, arguably one of the better characters in the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Except for that part where she goes off to Spinster Island at the end. I didn't agree with that. But anyway,
that sucked, but whatever.
She, while they're fighting, doing their little West Side Story thing, is doing like the Pocahontas war song thing where she has her own solo kind of off in the woods, saying they're the same damn height. And then she goes and knocks down the bridge. So it's like, it works again, and she comes over and she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? It's truly like the funniest episode in the entire show, which is only sometimes funny. I think the next time I laughed was when Galavant almost died and they went and found a healer, and it was Neo of Sporin.
Oh yeah, that's stupid. This show is such like, it takes such big swings, and often those swings are huge whiffs, but like there are some really funny like moments in this show. Like there's an orphan dance sequence where Galavant goes back to his dad's like house, and he finds out that his shitty dad was actually good the whole time, which like is a bad thing to like put out in the world. Like I don't agree with the way that they took that story, but like I just liked the fact that they had a bunch of orphans telling Galavant that he was completely fucking wrong about his dad.
Oh, and then the one of the orphans just goes like needless backflip and like literally just
Yes,
does a backflip.
exactly.
So funny for no reason.
Or the part where there's Gareth's birthday and Magdalena is talking to him and he's like, man, I want a new scar for my birthday because I like to fight and I'm a big, like, tough brawler dude. And she's like, all right, let's go to the bar and like, let's get in a fucking fight. And then they go down to this bar and she looks at one of the patrons and she's like, hey, Gareth over here called your mom a hussy. And, the patron, he's like, oh no, that's the king. So he's like, yep, my mom's a hussy. She's the biggest hussy around. And then his mom stands up and she's like, it's true.
And everyone else in the bar joins in, and it's just like some dude in the background yells, "My father's us."
Yeah, exactly. It's actually really good.
My mother too sells herself for sex. Like it's just oh my god.
Like there's some really good shit in this garbage show. It's astonishing.
Like, Hey, We're the Monks is truly the funniest thing in season 1 for me. Because I rewatched season 1, I did not rewatch, or I rewatched season 2, I did not rewatch season 1. Hey, We're the Monks is just like this strange Al Yankovic cameo, and everything Al Yankovic touches turns to gold. So it's just these singing monks, and they welcome Galavant and Sidon, and they do nothing but sing. And they're just this like barbershop quartet led by Al Yankovic. And it brings me such fucking joy because you know they couldn't actually pay Al Yankovic, considering half the dialogue in season 2 is them in character admitting they couldn't afford all the cameos.
I love that meta shit. Like, they're just like,
It's so
yeah,
funny.
listen, we don't have any money and we know we're gonna get canceled. We're just gonna fucking go for it, okay?
All the times she looked, like Isabella would look into the camera, I think twice into the show, and she's like, "We gotta save the date for the war in 6 weeks. Set your DVR." It's just so funny. But they bring Ali Yankovic back for the finale because he's the one that marries Galavant and Isabella, and you know they didn't pay him shit for it, but he just did it because it's stupid and funny.
Oh, Al Yankovic is the only good person on the show.
And Kylie Minogue. And Kylie Minogue.
I hope she got paid because she did a great job in that dance number. Oh gosh,
her dance number that was just lifts.
Yeah, just like getting carried by dudes.
It was just lifts. It was literally she gets lifted front and back and forth 3 times.
I mean, do you want to tell how did you even find this show? Because without Travis McElroy just tweeting about it constantly, I never would have even known this existed.
Hey, that's a great question. I don't remember.
It just sort of came to you.
Yeah, it's like it's like my cryptid show where it just like appeared before me and now I know all the songs.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yep. Sorry, I wish I had a more thrilling answer for you, but truly, I think one day I just like was on Netflix and I don't know, it had to have been either Netflix or Tumblr where like I saw something from it and you say Alan Menken to me and I'm like, well, okay.
Wow.
I love a musical, let's see what happens. And then I watched it and then I made other people watch it and we all agreed it was just like a fun trash show. Because it is, it's just garbage. It's not good.
Oh no, it's not. I mean, besides the bad race stuff, I mean, there's like a point right before, like maybe an episode or 2 before the final battle where like Magdalena captures Isabel and all of them, and there's like they're like we need some sort of musical number. So Magdalena and Isabel get into a rap battle, and it is the worst fucking rap battle I've ever seen in my life. It made me want to die.
I hate their little catfight song so much.
So shitty.
But do the do, which immediately follows it. Catchy.
The thing is that I don't remember that song. The fact that they just introduced an entirely new magical mechanic like 3 episodes from the end, I was like, oh, okay. It's so wild.
You know what's funny though? I bought it. I was like, yeah, there's a evil, the dark evil way, and it totally exists. And this is the first time we're hearing about it because the show is so, like you said, inconsistent and terrible that like I didn't question it. I was like, yeah, this evil wedding planner has dark magic powers.
I mean, that makes sense for his character and everything because he is established previously that he's like he has magic shit. But like, why is it a Mountain Dew joke? It's literally do the do.
I don't know shit about Mountain Dew, man.
Well, that's because you're not a real gamer, Leyla.
You're right. I'm not. My only association with Mountain Dew is one time I was. This is one of those memories that like haunts me. I was checking out at the one of our college like cafeterias or whatever, or college convenience stores, and the guy in front of me had nothing but a giant family-sized pack of Doritos and 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew, and the way the sun hit those bottles, I just like knew that was not a beverage for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've had a sip of Mountain Dew in maybe 8 years, but I feel like if I tried it, I would get electrocuted a little bit.
It's
like,
battery acid.
Yeah, that's a soda for a young man, and I'm getting old, Leyla.
That's a young man's drink. You know what else has no right to be as funny as it was the Skype joke.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Like, the results of it weren't funny. Miscommunication as a plot device is not funny.
No, that always sucks.
The fact that they decided Galavant needed to talk to Isabella, so they introduced this amulet, and there was like a 5-minute riff on the fact that nobody has seen this amulet before, but Isabella insists she has had it the entire time.
Okay, that part ruled. The part where she's like, this amulet is very important to me, and I've had it the whole time, and everybody's like, no, this is the first time I've seen that, and she's like, get fucked, and it's like...
And it's huge!
Yeah, it's like the size of 3 people's fists put together.
It's so big.
Stupid.
Then like Galavant knows all about it, but like nobody else does. It like that, and like they try to communicate by like via the amulet and the wizard staff, but it's Skype, so it like freezes all the time. The resulting miscommunication is stupid and bad, and not funny, and it was written poorly. But the entire joke of it could have been amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they have these good ideas, and then like because of the way it affects the plot, it ruins kind of everything. Like, I think it's very funny that like Isabella's cousin that she was forced to marry, she's like, oh, the age difference thing really bums me out, and it turns out he's 11, and like that whole misdirect is a funny joke, and that worked for me. But like then the fact that like they don't know what an 11-year-old is like, because like when they go to the armory, because he's like the prince of the land, the armory is full of like toy horses and wooden swords, and it's like, that's not what 11-year-olds are like. Like, sirs, or like and then there's a part where he's like, they want to get divorced or whatever, because she doesn't want to get married to her 11-year-old cousin, and like what they say is like, well, the only way you annul this is that you give him your bra, so that way he can talk to his friends about it. It's just like, what? Do you want him to be a child, or do you want him to be like a pervert teenager? I mean, it's just so weird. There's just so many weird things. The show could have been good.
There's also that part where like he's playing with the objectively one of the better characters, the Jester. And yeah, the Jester's so fucking funny. And he like wets himself because he laughed too hard. I'm like, 11-year-olds don't.
No.
We're past that.
It's so... There's just so many weird things that happen in this show. I was just going to talk about... There's another really funny part where they're... right after the Les Mis song, they're like, Galavant is mad at King Richard because they've been lost for several days, and they harp on the fact that they were so lost that they had to eat a family of hobbits. It's because they don't want to eat the dragon. And they're just like, yeah, we did definitely kill and eat that family of hobbits. Like, that's so funny. Sorry, I just think this.
No, it's good. No,
it's
I'm
good.
I'm glad you're getting some post-mortem joy out of it.
It is definitely post-mortem.
I think that the other funny thing is like the tone is really inconsistent, because Galavant season 1 starts out, it's kind of like a raunchy, like there's a lot of fucking in the first episode.
Yeah.
And there's a thread of fucking when Magdalena is sleeping with the Jester. And then season 2 is so wildly inconsistent to like being more adult toned, probably because they were trying to expand their audience to 3 people instead of 1.
Yeah.
The romantic focus of the entire season is one kiss.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like that's the problem though. Like when they get that Skype call, right? Because they're talking about this kiss, and they're like, "Oh, well, that kiss wasn't that good, but it was our first time, and it was in a dungeon under duress. So like maybe it could be better." And then they have the Skype call, which is like, "Oh, actually, you smell like farts, and I hate you, and die." And like, why? Misdirection is, like you said, the worst like plot propelling device, miscommunication, because like it doesn't. It's just like, oh, if you guys had just like had another conversation, which happens a lot in this show. They're just like, oh, I'm gonna give you some plot information. Oh wait, no, another thing came up and now I can't give it to you. It's just like, why are you doing this? Like, you could just think a little bit harder about what you want.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know if the show knows what it wants.
That's fair.
It's, like you said, it's Menken Unleashed. It's, you take this man who has done nothing but chased beautiful Disney musicals for a really long time, and you're like, hey, what if we just, like, gave you an ABC budget and you just gotta go ham? And he did. It was, I mean, it's, you know, let's segue. Let's talk a little bit about self-indulgent media. Mm-hmm. Aaron, you and I have our famous Mammadova feature film studios. Would we adapt this? Who is this audience?
Oh god, I mean, we were talking about this beforehand, but like at its peak, Galavant had less than 7.5 million viewers, and at its finale, it had like 2.15 million viewers. So like, I mean, we got to work on those numbers first, director. So the first thing we want to do, I think, is define our target audience, right? Galavant, like you said, is a self-indulgent sort of vanity project that doesn't really have anything besides like referencing musicals and talking about how bad and how poor they are. What we could do, I think, was we need to narrow that focus. I think we can still keep the raunchy tone, but I think what we want to do is make this sort of I think we can tweak it to be like Cats, right? We want to target people who are familiar with theater, but not necessarily like theater buffs. I think that we can make it like sort of a like similar. We keep the bad but good tone, right? So we don't want to lose any of the kinetic energy of having these weird big moments, but also we want to make the writing a little bit more specific. We want to make the jokes a little bit more targeted. So I think probably we're looking for like young people, specifically teens and like college students that were in theater programs at one point, or choirs or such. And adaptation though is going to be difficult. I mean, I think what are the kids into these days? Do they watch live action sitcoms? Because I feel like they don't, is the thing.
No, I feel like that died in the early aughts.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. People are really into podcasts these days. I wonder if we could turn this into a podcast.
I feel like that would actually... Okay, so there is a podcast musical. I don't know if you know
what
about
the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Deadass. So it's called 36 Questions. I don't like it very much.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my hot take on it. It meanders quite a bit, and the character motivations are like a little confused. TLDR, it's this married couple who broke up because the husband found out that the wife was like lying about her identity the entire time. And so he drives up to his mom's old house in Michigan and is like trying to fix it up, and she follows him, and they spend a couple of nights together trying to like talk out basically what happened. There are a couple of really good songs in it, and then there's a couple of musical numbers that just drag. Oh my god, what is his name? Jonathan Groff.
Yeah.
Of Hamilton and Frozen fame.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Groff, who was famously wasted in Frozen, by the way. I just need the internet to know that. Jonathan Groff has a deleted track on the Frozen 2 album that is a bop, and it is a crime that it was taken out. But anyway, it's an okay musical, but I think between sort of the narrative direction that podcasts have been taking lately, so for example, we talked about the Magnus Archives a little bit briefly, you and I on Twitter. Welcome to Night Vale, the original big storytelling podcast, and something like 36 Questions. I think that the bingeability the sort of mid-20s to early 40s audience and the money you would save telling this story, I think that would be the perfect adaptation for Galavant. I am looking at an article right now that says that the crew was ready for 7 seasons.
Of Galavant?
Of Galavant.
Who told them that?
That's just how much material they had prepped.
Holy shit, it certainly didn't feel like it. They were ready to end the show at season 2.
This is a quote from Karen David, who played Isabella, and says, when asked if she would be on board for more Galavant if the opportunity ever arose, Karen David said this: "Absolutely, I will say right now, full disclosure, all of us are up for more Galavant. There's a lot of things that happen when a show gets canceled that can be a bit political too," so Alan Menken was hard to work with. And it's really tough to explain to the fans that sometimes it's not always what you think of why a show gets canceled. There's a lot of reasons behind it, and we all feel that there was so much more to tell. Dan Fogelman had a Bible of the story arcs for 7 seasons, so there were just so many stories to tell, and that was just the start.
That's astonishing.
I would want a season 3 where Magdalena just fucks up with the Dark Evil way.
Yeah, I mean, that would be tight. Anything to get more Magdalena just being evil and arch would be great.
Yeah, so I think a podcast. I think you were right.
I think that's, I mean, just from the production alone, I think that's going to be a really good avenue to take this project, as well as the fact that it'll appeal to a specific audience instead of whoever Galavant was for, I guess.
Alan Menken and 3 Midwestern gays.
Yeah. It certainly seems like that.
It is so self-indulgent that there is a, I think the last episode, there's like a child. Oh, the last episode is a King Richard flashback, and one of the children volunteers to write him a theme song, and baby Gareth says, "Shut up, Menken."
Yeah. I didn't catch that, but that makes sense now. Great. Good. Yeah. Listen, much like Death Stranding, I think it's better if sometimes extremely talented creators are a little bit on the leash. Much like Tetsuya Nomura, just like maybe control them a little bit, maybe focus their fire and see what they can do. Don't give them unlimited, don't give them a blank check, because then you get some wild shit.
Yeah, and also maybe get some sensitivity readers.
One non-white person would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, there were some non-white people in the cast, like Sid is black, and there's some people of
I mean,
color.
Isabella, is a person of color also, but like
mixed origin, but they don't have any control over the script.
Exactly, like they're just getting paid. Like, I get it.
Yeah, oh man, it's just, it's so, it's wild. But, so you wanted to talk a little bit about, guilty pleasures.
Yeah, so this is where I would normally talk about anime, right? Because, like, for a mainstream audience of, like, I couldn't talk about anime at, like, a dinner table conversation with my parents, like, so I would consider anime a sort of guilty pleasure, but because you are a person of taste and culture, right, you understand the nuances that come with that world.
Okay, continue, please.
But like, as far as guilty pleasures go, I mean, my main ones, I would say, besides just like every Pokemon game, would be I mean, Kingdom Hearts also, definitely a guilty pleasure for me. But like, Linkin Park actually is probably my biggest, like, I know everyone does not like this, and yet I will defend it to the death.
I still defend the Breaking the Habit music videos being one of the better music videos of the mid-aughts, and also the album they dropped with Jay-Z.
Oh yeah. No, Linkin Park's good. We can talk about Linkin Park one day, because I've got some thoughts about LP.
I don't know, man. I've become so numb.
Oh God. that. It's good shit. But like, yeah, I think there's uh it's a weird thing, right? Because now thinking about it, besides anime, like I have grown up like trying to like tailor my tastes so that way I don't, if I do have a guilty pleasure or thing that I want to bring up, like I don't try to bring it up to people, because I don't want to be made fun of. Like I mean, I don't know, I guess when you're young you just learn really early that if you wear socks and sandals at the same time people are going to dunk on you. um, and that's sort of where I land as far as consuming culture. Like I don't think I have any like weird bad tastes, honestly. I mean, I guess when we talk into next week's recommendation, that might be a little bit more.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation. But what other self-indulgent weird stuff are you into?
Oy, I mean, like you said, a lot of anime, but like, I'm really picky with anime because I think we talked about this again during like Kill la Kill and Boruto. Sometimes you have to like age up the protagonists in your head a little bit, or do I think? Oh, you know what? Here's a perfect one. I have a soft spot in my heart for Hellsing, which is a early aughts manga and anime that I can't do. Don't do it. Don't. No, it's literally the most problematic, awful bullshit in the world. But there was just like, and I should not have been reading it when I was reading it, but there are these like good character moments, and it was like my second anime crush is in there, and it's just one of those things that like the things people who enjoyed it back when it was popular do with it now that make it kind of a fun guilty pleasure for me to revisit. I did rewatch the show a couple of years ago. I couldn't do it again. I don't think it's just not good. It goes, if you want to talk about inconsistency, it goes so off the wall. It goes from being a story about vampire hunters to just like chaos demon Nazis. Wild. But I feel like the stuff like that is my guilty pleasure. I also really enjoy some music that people of like quote unquote taste probably would look down on. I what's funny is I feel like I came into caring what other people thought of the things I liked later because I didn't really get picked on in middle school and high school all that much. It was kind of a neutral party. I in retrospect realized I was bullied a little bit, but I was just so oblivious I didn't notice.
Oh, that's the best superpower.
Yeah, I didn't care. I literally, the only incident I remember being pissed about is this douchebag put a piece of gum in my hoodie and then denied it. But like, I was generally just like a nice kid. So, and like I would help people with their homework and stuff, so I was left alone.
Yeah, there you go.
But in college I went to film school and I stopped being able to enjoy things in film school because you just watch these like pretentious movies and you're not allowed to like fun things, and you can't watching Galavant in college would have been not appropriate. Like I would have been laughed out of school. Like it just,
that's so wild.
It's not a healthy place. I shamefully would like, a lot of my friends and I would like sometimes watch the bad movies that our classmates made and like to make fun of them. It was just, I don't know. It was not a good environment to be in. But I think now coming out of it, I have in the great wise words of Justin McElroy, I am a finite creature. And I've learned that it does not matter what other people think of what I like. I like what I like. And if you don't have the stomach for something cheerfully bad, then we probably can't talk because I just don't care anymore. And I think that there was a tweet that was like, whatever makes your brain go wee, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what I look for. I just look for so like looking at my bookshelf and looking at my library, I generally like couldn't tell you what I think is like a guilty pleasure of mine because I don't feel guilty about any of my pleasures. There are things that I recognize are bad, like Galavant and Miraculous Ladybug, but I still openly talk about them. Like all the I talk about them at work sometimes because my supervisor has a little kid or two little kids, and I will like recommend her children's shows that either I watch or that my friends have worked on. So I don't know. I think there's a way to talk about almost everything in almost any kind of company. You just have to find the connection point. So like, yeah, I probably wouldn't talk about anime in front of my mom at a dinner, but I have before dragged her over to look at a video of Mass Effect, and I was like, "Do you want to see my space boyfriend?" And she got a laugh out of that. So,
Oh. Break when you mentioned film school, that did remind me that I have basically zero threshold for movies. Like I cannot tell whether or not a movie is bad or good, which has led me to watching a lot of really bad Zack Schneider films and being like, I thought this was fine. So um, we could talk about 300 one day, but
I don't know if we could talk about it. There's just too many rippling abs in it.
It's a great movie that's not racist at all.
No, not even a little bit. No, not certainly not the whole conceit of it. Yeah, it's. I think you know what's funny. That's good, fine, perfect. Like bad movies exist. Bad things exist. I think there's some things I would look at and go like, Love Never Dies. That is a bad. Sorry, Sierra. Bad musical. It is. It's not well constructed. You get no joy from it. There's nothing. But I think if even if a thing is technically not good, like I would call Ocean's 8 a movie that is technically not that great. The stakes aren't that high. The plot isn't really that well formulated. It doesn't have the same like pizzazz of like the other Ocean's movies. But Jesus H. Christ, they put Anne Hathaway in a little nightgown and I was like, I'm here. They put Cate Blanchett in a big green jumpsuit. I was like, yeah, this is it for me. Thank you. Awkwafina was in it. She's cool. Rihanna was in it. Yeah, absolutely. I love that movie. I have a poster and everything. It's fucking fantastic. But, like, was it good?
Mm-hmm.
No. Not really. But that's okay. I think people put too much pressure on performing taste.
That's fair,
You just don't need to do it.
Yeah, I think...
You don't need to do it.
Especially younger people, like probably not as much as when we're aging out of that demographic, but like definitely the past 10 years of our lives, I would say there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, you have to listen to this music. Like we just came out of the hipster phase. Like, I mean, that phase was sort of already dead when people started to talk about it, but like there was probably a bit there where you know, if you didn't listen to music on vinyls, like you weren't cool. But I didn't ever talk to anybody like that, so maybe it's just a myth perpetrated by the liberal media.
Oh, you know what? Actually, you know what my guilty pleasure is? I do have one thing I'll admit to. Early 2000s JRPGs.
Well, the thing about early 2000s JRPGs is that they're fucking great, so...
I don't know. Have you played Xenosaga? Because it's not a game, really. It's just a 40-hour movie.
I mean, that is my understanding is that was the reason for JRPGs, is just to sort of be a conveyance for a weird, extremely long plot where you kill God at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of killing God in Xenosaga. There's also Jesus is played by Orlando Bloom in the third one.
That's so good! Is this different from Xenoblade?
I think they're related.
They sound related, yeah.
I just don't know how. And I don't want to investigate because I don't want to get involved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a commitment.
That is a commitment. Yeah, it's way too long of a commitment for me, personally speaking. But yeah, I think there's a lot of room for making things that are like fun and self-indulgent. Like I would call my comic fun and self-indulgent. It probably has an audience of like 10 people, but that's okay. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. But there's a difference between self-indulgent and knowing it's like Galavant knows it's self-indulgent. And then self-indulgent, and then you think it's high art.
Yeah. I think that's the difference between Galvant and a Zack Snyder movie.
Oh, does Zack Snyder movie, do they think they're high art?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've probably heard all of the stuff about Batman versus Superman or Watchmen or 300, where there's not like any hint of understanding like why this film is so dour and gritty. It's just sort of like, oh, hey, this is a big serious topic that we're tackling, not with a fine point pen, but sort of with a club, and we're going to use that club to beat audiences into an understanding of our themes.
My only real memory of 300 is that it looks like it was put through a couple of Instagram filters.
Or just like regular coffee filters. It's a very brown film.
Oh,
I have that movie on Blu-ray,
yeah.
so I mean, I can't I can't defend anything.
I'm fucking sure you do.
Why'd you... Ow. That one hurts.
Oh, you've brought it up a couple of times at this point.
It's...
Listen, I can't talk. I got into a whole thing with one of my beloved Twitter mutuals about the fact that Thumbelina is a terrible movie that I love.
Uh-huh.
And, like, so is Anastasia. It is a terrible movie that I love. It's not a musical. It has 4 songs in the beginning. That's it. They don't sing again through the second half of the movie. That's fine. It's perfect. It is Don Bluth saying, you know what I want to do? I want to fuck up Russian history and draw the one boyfriend I am capable of drawing. And I am fucking bought into it. So, I can't judge. Watch 300 Away, man. Kick people into pits about it.
Oh, I will. I have, and I will. All right. So as far as next week's recommendation goes, we are going to continue this theme of guilty pleasures with the 2014 album "Smoke Plus Mirrors" by Imagine Dragons. I have only ever loved 3 bands in my life: Green Day, Linkin Park, and Imagine Dragons. And I mean, listen, I can't. It's hard to say that with a straight face, but it's true. But I think that I don't think you're gonna like Smoke Plus Mirrors, unfortunately. But I do think it'll be a way for you to understand my musical tastes as far as like non-show tunes. And like, I don't actually know a whole lot of your musical tastes besides show tunes and Hozier. So like,
I mean, it's pretty much that.
That's fair. But I think that would be it's a fertile ground for a conversation about like the way that music hits you at weird points in your life. Like, I'm not ready to talk about Linkin Park's 2007 album Minutes to Midnight because I can't cry on audio just yet. But I think that talking about Smoke Plus Mirrors will be interesting because that hit me at a weird stage in my life also. And I think that I would like to have a conversation about like if there's any specific album or artist that spoke to you at a certain point in your little journey throughout this great land.
I'll do the deluxe version, and I'm looking at the track list, and it looks like the only song I have saved is I Bet My Life, which means it's either the single and I found it catchy, or I've listened to it before and I found nothing else catchy. We will see.
Actually, I have not listened to the deluxe version, so you can go listen to the deluxe version if you want, but like the one that specifically affected me was the original.
Oh, I'm gonna go ham for you. I'm gonna go ahead and go deluxe.
All right, then I'll go ahead and listen to that too.
Well, yeah, it's your favorite band. Fucking get in on it.
Yeah, it's still like I went through Spotify last night and I was just like listening to artists and I was like, man, I really wanted to talk about Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple because like that's popular right now, but I just couldn't get into it, unfortunately. My tastes are my tastes, man.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
Don't tell my gay friends I don't like Fiona Apple.
Oh, thank God. I'm so happy.
I don't get it.
I'm so happy.
I don't get it. I'm sure she's a perfectly talented.
Yes, she seems extremely talented. I just don't get her style.
I've listened to a couple of her albums and I don't like them very much.
It's not the weird, sad, longing, the dirges that I wanted, or the upbeat, revolutionary bops.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one because my entire timeline exploded and I'm like, oh no.
Oh, I wish I could have jumped in and and gotten dunked on with you.
I don't say it. I haven't listened to it. I won't. I think I listened to one of the pop culture podcasts talked about there's a lot of like she uses a lot of like miscellaneous noises in it. And I'm like, if I wanted to do that, I will just go listen to Coco Rosie, an extremely obscure band I was obsessed with in like 2007.
There we go.
But yeah, I will love to listen to this for you. Yeah. I'm excited to speak about it.
It'll be short and sweet, 50 minutes. You'll or more with the deluxe, but it'll be interesting. So where can folks find you, Leyla?
So I am at Leylses, at Leylses on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. I also write a webcomic that actually just hit 100 followers on Tumblr. Woo! Yay! It's called Astral Heart, and if you go follow it, It's astralhorrorcomic.com. I'm soon starting a Ko-fi Gold, so you can pay me $5 and you get 2 weeks early updates and sketches and stuff. So that will be very fun.
You can find me at AaronSXL on Twitter or Aaron S on YouTube. On YouTube, me and my friends Michael and Josh just put out a video on Prince of Egypt, which was really fun. We had a great time watching that classic movie. And on Twitter, I just talk about bad Indiana politics and healthcare. So
yeah, stay home, guys.
Yeah.
Stay home.
I know everybody's opening up,
us,
but yeah, don't go outside. Listen, I hate to say don't trust the government, but listen, y'all, right now, maybe just hunker down another month or 3.
Yeah, just to, for all the few people that listen to us, just, Aaron is obviously the healthcare professional, and I will, trying to be a healthcare policy professional soon. And then I am the daughter of a doctor, so guys, please just, this is not the flu. This will fuck you up. There's long-term side effects that were associated with kidney damage and nervous system damage, and people who go on ventilators suffer really long-term effects. So please stay home. Maintain a distance of 6 feet or 2 meters away from other people. The droplets can only travel about 3 to 5 feet, and make sure that you are washing your hands and washing any packaging, and that you are doing so for 20 seconds.
All right. Thank you for that, Leyla.
Everybody stay safe and do the do.
God damn it. Okay.